Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I thought I'd give you a little update on where am I up to with the 100 pattern paper project. So when I did a little chatty video towards the end of Christmas in July, I did say this was one of the things that I needed to get back to was my 100 pattern paper project. So for those that don't know, at the beginning of the year I posted a video showing you the papers I had selected. I just went through my pattern paper stash and just put roughly 100 pieces of paper in a box. It was just slightly over, I think, partly because I lost count, so I just couldn't be bothered recounting and just put some extras in. That's how it worked. And so I've got it all in this box, one of these Stack and Store 12 by 12 boxes. Any scraps I've been putting into a pouch, because the intention is to use all my scraps as well. But I just thought I'd share how much is still left. I was doing really well for a couple of months in using this all, and then it's all gone to pot really, and I've not really done anything with it for the last few months. So I thought I'd share what I've got left and maybe do a bit of a plan on how we're going to get through this before the end of the year, because we're over halfway through the year and I am not halfway through my pieces of paper at all. And do you know what? There's some lovely papers in here. Admittedly, some of them aren't complete sheets anymore, so there are some here that actually probably need to go into my scraps box or scraps pouch. But yeah, I thought the best thing for me to do is actually just make some page kits ready to make. I did buy some page kits from lovely Sarah when I went to the crop last couple of weeks ago. That are all still sitting there waiting to be used. So I need to do something about that. So I think if I start putting some together, I think I've got 3 or 4. What am I thinking of? What's the word that I'm trying to find? Of these 12 by 12. There we go. Right, like these little Ziploc bag things. How many have I got? 1, 2, 3. I've got 4. So how about we put together some page kits and I'll just talk through how I do it. So I have put this into slight fast forward. I think it's 3 times the speed that I actually went at. My starting point for all scrapbook pages is always the photographs, because that helps me choose which colours, etc. So even when I get a page kit, I then go through and find my photographs and then work out how it's going to work together. Obviously, I'm choosing from pattern papers here, so I'm going to go with my photographs first and then choose what I put with it. And I thought I'd start with the Simple Stories that was on the top, which is this tea garden, I think it's called, selection. And I chose some pictures from our holiday where I was wearing a bright pink shirt, and then the beautiful blue sky and sea behind us. So pink is going to be the main element, but I am throwing some pattern papers in there. And on this case, I did also go through with my scraps pouch and added a few other bits and pieces in from there. Now I am just now going to try and grab a few other bits and pieces that are on the desk. So first of all, a bit of trim went in, and then I got this acrylic title and a wooden title from a Hey Little Magpie kit. That's my starting point. Is that going to be everything that ends up going on the page? No, it's not, but it just allows me to grab that, make a start, and then I'll probably add, some solid colours of cardstock in there, some other bits and pieces, etc. Okay, the second one, also holiday photographs, but this is the sunset at the hotel, and I chose the Crafter's Companion sort of peachy colours that went with the sky, and then this kind of wooden element. Now it's not going to be a whole panel of that wooden element. I need to work out how to use it. That's still to be decided. But I'm just grabbing things that are of the right colours or the right things that will work together. I'm then going through some of my stash in terms of embellishments, etc. I've chosen that wooden bit that says awesome. There's a die cut circle that's brown. Will I end up using it all? Probably not. I'm just trying to do some colour matching basically with the papers. So I did go through quite a lot of embellishments and ended up not really pulling them out from that particular box. Then went to a different box
and had a little look through this. And again, I was sort of really struggling, but I did find those wooden cameras. I thought they would work. In here, I chose to use one of the wooden suns. I don't end up using both of them, as in I'll take one of them out. But yeah, they were put to one side in the hope that they will get used at some point. And then I chose that little heart that just says love. And I think at that point I was like, right, I can't think of anything else to go with it, so I'm going to pop that to one side. Okay, on to the next pictures. Again, holiday pictures, just because that's the pack of photographs that was on the top of the box. That's why I'm doing those ones. I do not choose to scrap chronologically or in any sense of order whatsoever. So for this one, I've chosen that dark navy because I think it picks up on my husband's shirt. I'm pulling in that turquoise, but to be honest, I'm not 100% convinced by that. But at the moment, it's going to sit in the pouch because obviously we've got the turquoise of the pool behind me on the main photograph, and there is some turquoise in my dress, so I thought it would work. And then I'm going through this pouch of bits and pieces that are left over from old crop kits, pulling some of the bits and pieces in from that. So there's quite an eclectic mix of stuff going on there, including some threads, because I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll do some tags. Maybe I'll do some sewing. I don't know. I don't have an end sketch in mind when I'm doing this. I am literally just pulling colours and things that go with either the theme of the photograph or the colours in the photograph. That's all I am doing. I always think if you can reduce the amount of decisions that you're making and just focus on one thing, it helps to make it flow. Now this time I've gone for a different photograph. I've gone for a picture of my daughter with my parents, actually from quite a while ago. This is from her 19th birthday, and she turned 20 this year, so it's a year and a bit ago. And this time I'm picking out the orange colours. So my mum's got orange in her dress. My daughter's a redhead, so she's got beautiful hair that's really caught the sun in that particular photograph. I've also then just pulling in from that scraps pouch again some of the black and white, because I'm thinking that might work well with the photograph too. And then I'm pulling out hearts because clearly these are the people, along with my hubby, I love most in the world. My parents and my daughter and my husband, not in that order. Okay, so I'm now pulling out heart-related things, and I'm still trying to find a title. I haven't quite found myself a title. So I keep going. And then I remembered that smile that had actually fallen out last time I was doing it, and I thought, no, this is a perfect one. Because I've got the Tea Gardens papers, which is, it just so happens I've picked those. I had some other Tea Garden bits and pieces, so I've got some die cut ephemera and that panel of paper that's clearly been cut into for another project. So I'm going to add those into the kit too.
Okay, so that's 4 page kits made up, ready for me to just play with whenever I fancy playing with them, hopefully in the near future. I've not really done scrapbooking for a little while because of Christmas in July and stuff, so hoping to get some of that done, which would be good. And I feel like there's a good starting point there. So I've got those 4 page kits that are all made up from stuff from the 100 pattern paper. I then went through and counted. I've still got 59 pieces of full pieces of paper plus whole pouch of scraps. As much as me is tempted to just, do you know what, let's just work through the scraps, I think I don't. I think I need to come up with some other plans for these. So part of me is thinking, are they future Kendra's card challenge papers or something else? I'm also thinking there is the full pack of this Christmas paper that I bought from Stampin' Up, which I love. I've just not used any of at all. With the gold foiling and the black and white, and it's so beautiful. I mean, oh, just so gorgeous. Do I do a whole series of Christmas cards just using that? And can I believe I'm even saying that so soon after Christmas in July? I don't know, there's just a lot of paper here, and I know that one of my things was to see whether I could use a whole pack of pattern paper and share that. I'm wondering if I do that with that. I don't know. I might put that one on the top of the box for another day. I am very tempted to just see if I can make a project out of this, or a couple of projects out of this, and using up bits and pieces that are on my desk. You'll have seen when I was pulling that together, I've got like trays of ephemera and bits and pieces on my desk, and I'm thinking I could do with a bit of a clear out of stuff. I did a bit of die cutting the other day, just die cutting scraps, so I've got like a ridiculous number of stars and things like that just hanging around, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Yeah, let's make a card.
Sometimes you just need to make something to make you feel like you're winning at life. There is that element of, I just need to get started and use some of these things, and I was procrastinating. So instead, I made a card. I used only a few scraps, but I used some of those scraps. I used a digital stamped image that was already printed off and on my desk. There it is, which had been printed off for a design team contribution that I'd done on my blog. So I thought, oh, might as well use that, and it sort of felt like it would work with the papers. I chose quite vintagey looking papers. I'm not entirely convinced that these all went together in the same paper kit. I'm sure that they didn't. I think one of them's a different brand for a start. Then I've got those sort of tape measure strips that were part of a Hey Little Magpie embellishment kit at some point, and I'm just basically layering things up. Then I went in and did a not brilliant job of watercolouring this little mouse, mice, these little mice, mainly because I was impatient and I couldn't be bothered to wait for it to dry naturally. So I did use my heat tool, which in turn ended up, making it look a little bit patchy in places. But do you know what? I still think it looks quite cute. I used just the brown and this sort of like more mustard yellowy colour for my inking, just because I thought it worked. And then I did splatter on the pattern paper of the same ink, just to add a little bit of a different texture into the background. I don't know how much of it's visible on the final card, probably not very much, and only me will probably notice where it is if I was to point it out. I did ink the edge of this panel just with the brown, and I thought that was quite cute, but I decided no, I'm going to add more scraps to this. So more of these tape measures went in. So they're not actually scraps, those, but bits that were sitting on the desk. And at first I was having it this way round, but then I changed my mind. So as I went to stick down that mouse, I do end up changing my mind about where it sits. I did, however, grab that black and cream chevron cardstock, just to give a really thin border to that image, and then decided to mount it on the on the adhesive foam squares. I do add quite a few just because I don't want it to sag in the middle. To be honest, I don't think it would have done. It was quite a firm cardstock, and at that point where I'm sticking it down, just totally changed my mind and went with a different orientation of the card. Of the front panel, sorry. So instead I've got the strips all crossing at the top left hand corner. Then I grabbed some orange cardstock, and that's going to make my card base of 6x6 square. Dead simple, didn't do anything fancy with it, just literally layered it all down. And then I'm going to put a little panel on the inside, and I'm just layering up those final little bits of the scraps that I had, and that one tape measure that was left on the desk. There are some more in the pot, but that was all that was left on the desk. And then I've chosen a sentiment from sentiments that were already made, and I went with Sending Hugs. At first I was going to add another Sending Hugs in, but I just didn't like the colour of it. So instead I added a die cut hugs word just to the inside. And that is pretty much my card done. And it made me feel like I've productively used some of the scraps. I have made a project from my 100 pattern papers pile, and I feel quite happy about that. What do you reckon? I mean, I do think the watercolouring could have done with some work on that mouse, but, it's a handmade card, not striving for perfection, just striving for something pretty, and I think I got there. So I hope you've enjoyed this little ramble about my 100 pattern pages. Bit of a mixed up one. Card making, scrapbooking, making up page kits all in one. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, bye bye.